What's up, guys?
We are back with another one, another pitch meeting. Somebody requested this one.
Really?
They were like, Back to the Future, please.
Wow, this is going to be a big one.
There's a big one. There's
This
a
is a big
big
one.
movie. One of the best movies in the 80s. Came out in 1985. Big time movie. One of my favorite 80s movies
And we recently
of
watched
all
them.
time. Yeah, we recently watched them because they're on Netflix.
Mhm.
And it's such a classic movie. We had to go back and watch them.
So, you have a movie for me?
Yes, sir, I do. It's gonna be called Back to the Future.
Oh, okay. Not sure about that title. I'll try to come up with something else.
Okay, I mean, I feel like that works, though.
Well, we'll see. So what happens in this thing?
Well, we're gonna meet this teenager, Marty McFly, and he's hanging out at his friend's house, this wacky old scientist guy, Dr. Emmett Brown.
Oh, and how did they become friends?
Somehow, I imagine.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank God. So Doc Brown, he's real wacky. He says "Great Scott" all the time.
Oh, Scott is tight.
Fantastic. So Marty's life is pretty crappy. Like, his dad gets bullied by this guy named Biff,
man.
his mom is an alcoholic, his brother has a crappy job, and his sister can't find a boyfriend.
Yikes.
And then one night, Doc brings Marty to a shopping mall parking lot because he built a time machine out of a DeLorean.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, so we're gonna have this really fun scene where they engage in some casual, animal testing.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah, Doc puts his dog inside the DeLorean, sends him into the future, and you know what? He doesn't die.
Is Doc the bad guy?
Well, what would make you think he's the bad guy? So anyway, then the terrorists he's been dealing with show up.
You're sure he's not the bad guy?
Yeah, no. He ripped these guys off for some plutonium, so they murder him.
Oh, what is going on?
And so Marty escapes in the DeLorean and accidentally goes back to 1955.
That's in the past.
It certainly is, sir. And so he's gonna run into his dad, George McFly.
Oh, that's interesting. An encounter with his dad in the past?
Yeah. And so pretty much immediately he finds out that his dad's a peeping Tom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he saves his dad from getting hit by a car, but then he gets hit by a car.
Oh.
And so he's taken in by his mom, Lorraine's family, and she is all over him when he wakes up. I mean, she
That's the most
really
awkward
wants to
part of this
sleep
whole
with him.
What are you talking about?
See, the whole thing is that Marty's parents met after George was hit by that car, but now since Marty was hit by the car, Lorraine just wants to hook up with him. She's on a path to end up with him.
Right, okay, I feel like that's pretty messed up for a movie.
Yeah, so the whole movie, Lorraine's trying really hard to get into her son's pants.
I do not like that sentence.
Well, she doesn't know that it's her future son.
I don't see how that's gonna be fun for anyone to watch.
I feel like everybody's gonna love it.
Well, if you say so. So what else happens?
Well, so Marty's gonna spend the movie trying to get his dad to hook up with his mom instead of him, because the future's getting all messed up now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he goes to see Doc in 1955, and Doc is like, uh-oh, Marty, this isn't good.
How can he tell?
Well, Marty has this photo with him from the future, and you can see his siblings starting to disappear from it bit by bit, because they were never born.
So that exact photo at that exact time, at that exact angle, was still taken despite the wildly different circumstances?
That's what we're going with.
Well, okay then.
So anyway, Marty hatches a plan to get Lorraine to go to the dance with George instead of him and get them to fall in love.
How does he plan on doing that? Sorry, sir, can I just a minute, Larry. So what's the plan?
Well, he's gonna pretend to force himself on his own mother, and then his father's gonna come in and beat him off, and that's really gonna impress the mom, and then she's gonna want to hook up with him instead of her own son.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go. You sure? You can stick around. No, I insist. Not sure what that guy's problem was, so how does the plan play out?
Oh, well, turns out that bully Biff shows up, and he actually tries to force himself on Lorraine.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's really going at it. He's really trying to take advantage of this girl.
And you're sure this is a family movie?
I'm telling you, I feel like it's gonna be a classic. So then George really does save the day by standing up to Biff and punching him out.
Wow.
Yeah, and then at that school dance, Marty's gonna play Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry.
Great song.
And it turns out Chuck Berry's cousin is there, so he calls Chuck and he's like, hey, you know that new sound you're looking for?
So Chuck Berry steals the song Johnny Be Good from over a phone.
He does, yeah, fun little tidbit.
But if Marty hadn't performed it, Chuck Berry would have come up with it word for word just a couple of years later.
Right, but now in this timeline, Chuck Berry's a plagiarist, so it's fun.
Right, okay, I guess that's a fun moment.
So anyway, now that Marty's ensured that his parents are gonna procreate, he has to go back to the future.
That's the name of the movie.
That last part of the sentence, yeah, not the whole sentence.
Okay, so yeah, I actually did just think of a title that might be a bit better.
Okay.
What if we call it Spaceman from Pluto?
Spaceman from Pluto?
Yeah. That is a real note that a Hollywood studio executive is giving. Let's call it Spaceman from Pluto instead of Back to the
title.
Future.
I feel like, God no.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, to be discussed, I guess.
So what else happens?
Well, Doc and Marty need to use this famous lightning strike on a clock tower to power the time machine back to the 80s.
Okay.
And before they do, Marty gives Doc a letter informing him that that he's going to be shot in the future and he needs to protect himself.
Oh, smart.
But Doc is like, no, I cannot know any information about the future. The results could be disastrous. So he tears the letter up.
Oh, no.
But then Marty's like, oh, I have a time machine. I could just go warn him in the future.
Very clever.
Very clever. So he gives himself 11 minutes.
Whoa, why would he give himself 11 minutes? Why not give himself a couple of hours or even days?
Well, he's going to give himself 11 minutes because it's more exciting this way.
Fair enough. So is it going to be tough for Doc to survive?
Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it turns out Doc taped the note back together, so he puts on a bulletproof vest.
Oh, well, thank God he did a complete 180 on his passionate speech about knowing about the future.
It really worked out. So then Marty goes to see his family, and they're just completely different now.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, his dad's a super successful author. His brother has a great job. His sister has a good dating life.
George is a rich author and they still live in the same house?
They do.
The brother has a good office job and he still lives at home?
He does.
Well, okay then.
Oh, and also now Biff gets hired by George to wax his car.
George hired the guy who tried to assault his wife?
He did. He's like, that Biff is such a character. He's always trying to get away with something.
Like assaulting his wife?
Yeah, quite the character. And so now Marty gets to go on a date, and he has a nice car.
Now wait, so his entire family have had a different life, but Marty still has the memories and experiences of the original timeline?
Yeah.
So what happens to the version of Marty that was living with the family on this new timeline that they were interacting with on a daily basis?
So... Yeah, don't worry about any of that.
Oh, okay, I won't.
Great, so what do you think?
Well, it sounds insane and inappropriate in several ways, but somehow I do think it'll be a classic.
Oh yeah, nobody's ever gonna dare to even think about remaking this thing.
Tom Holland confirms Back to the Future remake talks have happened.
Wow.
Wow.
This is news here.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see him as Marty McFly.
Totally.
He's like this generation's Marty McFly in some weird way, you know, even though he plays Spider-Man.
No, I think
kind of reminds me of
great.
Yeah, he has that vibe
Yeah.
of Michael J. Fox.
Totally. I mean,
They're both very charismatic. They're kind of like boyish.
have like the funny,
the funniness.
quirky kind of
Yeah,
acting way.
Tom Holland, he has that comic timing. He makes a great Spider-Man. I could totally see that. I think the only problem here is that they've tried to remake Back to the Future numerous times, but the director, Zemeckis, I think that's how you say his name, he owns all the rights to Back to the Future, and he says he refuses to remake Back to the Future. Leave it the way it is. It doesn't need to, be remade. And, we watched it the other day, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
And I agree. It doesn't need to be remade.
I agree with that. I agree. Like, not every movie
Needs
has
to be a remake. Yeah.
You can leave it at that classic first movie, And we watched it again, and it was great. It wasn't
great.
like, it wasn't like a boring movie because it's old. No, it's a great movie.
No, I mean, the storytelling, the characters, they all stay, they're still very enjoyable. This is still a very enjoyable movie to watch.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, you go back and you watch certain movies and they just don't hold up, in terms, just don't hold up. They don't hold up the test of time. But Back to the Future, you can watch that movie now, the first one and the second one, and it's still like very enjoyable. The special effects hold up because this movie is more about the storytelling. It's a good story. So, the characters are very interesting, and the whole dynamic of time travel and all these problems that time travel can create, is very interesting.
Yeah.
If you go back in time and you change the past, how it affects the future. And in this pitch meeting, he makes a very good point that I didn't even think about. So what happened to the version of Marty that he grew up in this family that is successful?
Exactly.
Like, where is that version?
Right.
And what is that? What is that version of Marty? What does he look like? What is he like?
Because Marty and the first and the second, and I think it's the third, right, too?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same Marty. Like,
Same Marty.
They don't show another version of him, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a great point.
That's a great point.
Like, where is that?
Yeah, because we always see the same Marty.
Right.
But the past has been changed so many times because they're going back and forth that there has to be a different version of Marty.
Yeah.
And
right.
that would have been nice
and
if
then
they
the guy
explored
was
that.
Don't question that.
Yeah. So and it's funny, like the original title of this movie was like Pluto something.
That's
Pluto?
adorable.
What
Back
was
to
it?
I forgot. It's a terrible title.
It's terrible.
Something Pluto.
Because I think in that time, like time travel movies weren't that popular, so they were trying to like name it something relating to space instead of time travel. So that's why they named it that.
No.
But Back to the Future is such a classic title.
It is, and it's easy to remember, and it's just catchy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? They had a hard time making this movie. It got rejected by studios like 40 times.
No way.
By like different studios, like the script. They went around different places. Nobody wanted to make the movie. You know, and they made a lot of changes in the script. Like originally, instead of the DeLorean, the car, it was supposed to be a refrigerator. Yeah,
thank God they didn't
we're
go
like
with
Doc.
that.
He made the time travel machine was supposed to be a refrigerator, but then the director was worried that kids would go into the refrigerator and suffocate.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he was worried kids were gonna suffocate in the refrigerator. So they came up with the idea of the car, which is pretty interesting.
Which is clever, and that part is like
the DeLorean.
Isn't that car in a museum somewhere?
Yeah, it's in various museums.
In various museums. Yeah. I remember seeing it. Yeah.
So very interesting, you know, and I love this movie. And I don't know, am I open to them making a remake? I'm not sure.
Of course, if they make it, we're gonna watch it. Especially for Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
You know, I really enjoy any movie that he is in it.
I would trust the Russo brothers, the directors of Avengers Endgame. I would trust them to do it. Remember, Endgame has some time travel in it. You know, so those are really the only directors that I would really trust.
You're right.
To be like, can you make another Back to the Future franchise? With that would be the winning combination, because those guys know how to tell a story.
Yeah.
They really know how to tell a story, and I think they would hit it out of the park.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, we'll see. We shall see. I mean, I would totally watch it.
I would totally
watch it.
watch
Even though you should just leave it the way it is, but...
Right. But the script has to be tight. Like he says, tight.
Tight.
Because the script in the original was tight.
Yeah.
It's a tight script.
Even though it had some really awkward moments.
Some awkward moments with the mom hitting on him all the time. Cringy. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Let us know what you think about Back to the Future. Is it one of your favorite 80s movies? Do you have a favorite 80s movies? It's definitely one of my favorites.
Yes, it's
Is it my top 5? Top 5 80s movies.
I'm not sure.
It's somewhere up there with like Indiana Jones. I'm not sure. Goonies. There's something. Goonies was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, we should watch this.
Yeah, we gotta watch that again. I'm surprised that hasn't been remade.
I know, right?
Yeah, that would be
I feel like that is a movie that was so good, and it's just it never had a sequel. It never had
a sequel. No, it never had a sequel.
Nothing.
And that's why I love Stranger Things so much, because I feel like it's the Goonies sequel that never happened.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe. Hit that like. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Bye-bye, guys.